In 1996, Prince gained his freedom from his Warner's contract and so began one of the most important and life-changing years in Prince's life. This is the Emancipation era. The freedom train rolls.
I look at it as a make or break project. None of my projects have been make or break. I have a lot of friends that will continue to support me. Yes. and my music. It's just like you said, when Willie get on the mic and the lights go down, that's what's
So the year is 1996, and several major things happen in Prince's life. In February, on Valentine's Day, Prince marries Maite Garcia, backing dancer for the MPG since 1992, in a ceremony in Minneapolis, and a reception held at Paisley Park. Chaos and Disorder was released in July, ending Prince's contractual obligations to Warner's and giving him his freedom he fought so hard for. Prince then signed a one-album deal with EMI for Emancipation, due to be released in November. A huge 3-CD set of 36 songs, each CD 1 hour in length exactly. Billed as the album he was born to make, and 3 hours of love, sex and liberty. Things seemed to be going so well, and Prince looked happier than he had for many years. However, tragedy struck just weeks before the album's release, with the birth of Prince and Maite's son, who was born with a rare genetic disorder, Pfeiffer syndrome type 2, which affects just 100,000 people in the world. Tragically, the baby boy, who was known as Boy Gregory to the media, passed away just 7 days after birth. Prince coped with this tragedy the only way he knew how, by working harder than ever. He threw himself into the promotion for Emancipation, with TV interviews including a special with Oprah Winfrey, and holding a launch party for the album at Paisley Park, where everyone got to enjoy Prince's favourite cereal, Captain Crunch.
Emancipation was arguably the most transformative event of Prince's career, as he gained his liberation to release the music he wanted, strike the deals he desired, and for the first time ever take full control of the business of music. Prince's initial period of freedom saw music flood out with a 3-CD Emancipation, followed by a 5-CD Crystal Ball set. Prince toyed with different deals and business models, preferring either one-album deals or direct pre-order ventures. This was without doubt the time when Prince courted the media more than he ever had before. Suddenly he was making adverts for Emancipation, giving multiple interviews, appearing on numerous television shows.
What's up? I hope you all are enjoying your emancipation. I know I am.
The artist formerly known as Prince, who's now being called The Artist, made an appearance in Tokyo, Japan earlier this week. He was there to promote his new triple CD album Emancipation, after being freed from his contract with Warner Brothers.
3 hours of love, sex, and liberty. Emancipation Day, November 18th.
The real memory of this period for me was one of contrast. The now free, happy, jovial, recently married Prince talking passionately about his new project, a project he seemed more enthused about than ever, stating that he felt the sprawling 36 songs didn't have a bad track on them. The other side was the human Prince, tragically losing the child he prepared for with his wife Maite. Prince, I believe, only knew one way to cope, and that was in the studio. After joking on television that Maite had placed him in studio rehab, he retreated there, into a world he could control. I genuinely believe that Disc 2 is one of the most soulfully romantic sets Prince has ever created, full of delicate and soaring ballads. Prince officially released covers for the first time, and it was strange to many that his lead single was the Stylistics' Betcha by Golly Wow, which he described as the prettiest melody ever written. Prince's religious exploration was also there, with stunning tracks like Holy River and another cover, One of Us, made famous by Joan Osborne. Prince had played the promotion game, and within 3 months the album was certified double platinum. Each disc counting for 3 albums certainly didn't hurt. Prince had fought long and hard for his freedom to release projects as he wanted them, a frustrating and bloody fight which has taken its toll on Prince. Certain frustrations had been building since at least the 86-87 period, when Prince was coerced into reducing Sign of the Times to a double album. Prince was now in charge of marketing and distribution, and whilst he didn't have the big machinery of Warner's behind him, he had full artistic control. The next 8 years would see Prince fall from the spotlight in a number of ways, and yet create some truly remarkable music. He would play the promotional card again with Rave Unto the Joy Fantastic, but would only really fully reappear in the public consciousness in 2004 with Musicology. Prince himself made the importance of freedom clear in a letter from this period. For most of all my adult life, I have laboured under one construct. I compose music, write lyrics and produce songs for myself and others. My creativity is my life, is what guides my every day, my sleepless nights. My songs are my children. I feel them, I watch them grow, and I nurture them to maturity. I deliver them to my record company, and suddenly they are no longer mine. The process is painful. I have long been ready for a new programme. The time is now. Prince was free at last.
Emancipation Project was planned by Prince to be a long haul. He told Chris Rock in his interview at Paisley Park that we are going to be in here for a long time. That's why there's 3 CDs. It's as though I've released 3 albums at once. There were supposed to be multiple single releases, but the collapse of EMI Records, which went bankrupt during the album's promotional run, stalled all promotion for the album. 3 singles were released. Betcha by Golly Wow, released on Maite's 23rd birthday, charting on 5 US Billboard charts, its highest position being number 10 on both the R&B, hip-hop, airplay and rhythmic top 40 charts. It reached number 23 on the Billboard Mainstream Top 40. In the UK, it charted at number 11, and it reached its highest position in Europe, in Belgium, reaching number 5. The Holy River was the second single and was released in January 1997, charting on 3 US Billboard charts, its highest position being number 19 on the Mainstream Top 40. It also reached number 19 in the UK, and Prince made a live appearance on BBC One on Top of the Pops to perform the track, as well as turning up at the Brit Awards to perform Emancipation, the album's title track.
Still see the picture upon the wall. One night staring at nothing at all. Other one trying to focus you all your tears.
The third and final single was Face Down, released as a promo only in April 1997. Its planned release as a commercial single was cancelled as EMI went bankrupt. Prince toured extensively to promote the album on the Love for One Another Charities Tour, which started in January 1997 and played 21 dates across the US with 2 dates in Canada, ending in June 1997. And then the Jam of the Year World Tour, which picked up a month later in July 1997 and took in a further mind-bending 65 shows, ending in January 1998, again across America and Canada. The shows were mostly a greatest hits package, with only a few songs from Emancipation being performed. By the time the tours came to an end in January 1998, Emancipation was a distant memory, with the collapse of EMI ending the promotion, and with Prince's notorious short attention span, one of his greatest and most personal albums quietly disappeared into the night. Indeed, by January 1998, Prince's next album, Crystal Ball, was already available, first to direct order for the 5-disc version and then the 4-disc version available in stores. So what started with a flurry of promotion and hype and real happiness and joy at all the things that were going on in Prince's life ended up being marred by tragedy, heartbreak and bad luck. The cost of freedom is anything but free.
In a number of ways, there's never been a project anything like Emancipation in the artist's discography. The sheer scope, scale and audacity of a 3-album, 36-song set, matched with the aching vulnerability and utter romantic abandon, combined to give it a unique place in history. One could argue that the artist, not known as Prince at this time, was never more accessible, giving multiple interviews, appearing on The Muppet Show and placing his wife, Mayte, front and centre with him. His fight for freedom was at a turning point, where he realised he was now free to make his own way, strike his own business deals, and put out as much or as little music as he desired. Everything done his own inimitable way. But this freedom, enthusiasm and joy was cruelly tempered by tragic personal circumstance and record label misfortune. Some writers at the time criticised the album as technically perfect but missing a vital beating heart, and in some sense this is a very different vibe to a lot of previous albums. The whole 3 discs are full of optimism, love and adoration, but there is still the grittier edge of pain on tracks such as I Can't Make You Love Me, addiction and loss on The Love We Make, social malaise on Da Da Da, and isolated loneliness on My Computer.
I scanned my computer looking for a site, somebody to talk to, funny and bright.
One of the tragedies of this 3-album set is that most songs were simply never played after this period, and The Love We Make was perhaps the only track that really had much of a life later in his career. It may be the memories of this time were too painful. Some truly remarkable work, therefore, sadly feels strangely neglected and lost for many listeners, and this is a shame. In many ways, this is one of Prince's most joyous albums, and feels often destined for listening to with headphones on a summer's day. It is a lot to initially take in and requires a number of listens. Every time I hear the set, I notice different aspects and develop new cherished tracks. I feel the Emancipation project ultimately hugely affected Prince and his career. His freedom had been won, but the struggle had been real. The emotional, physical and mental toll must have been wearing. Prince discussed the feeling of dealing with people at Warner's whom he believed had absolute hatred for him. Compare the anger in the earlier release of Chaos and Disorder with the uplifting romantic balladry of Emancipation's love songs. Chaos was raw, ragged, rushed and frenetic, whilst Emancipation was perfected over long nights in the studio, languorous, seductive and beautiful. Emancipation was proclaimed as the album Prince was born to make, but in some ways it marked the culmination of a recent journey that cost him so much, and just as that hard-fought freedom came into view, it was cruelly stunted. Years later, on the track Act of God from the 2010 album, Prince sings, "But I got news for ya, freedom ain't free. They lock you in a cell if you try to be, but the ones who say no make history. Call it an act of God." Prince was emancipated, and soon released another huge project with the Crystal Ball 5 CD set. He no longer felt a musical slave, but his contribution to artist rights and empowerment would not be recognised for a number of years. It is testament to Prince that a lot of what he fought for, largely alone, during this period is now embraced by many upcoming artists. The music industry was never quite the same again.
Desperate is the day that is tomorrow. For those who do not know, the time has come. Emancipation, free to do what I want. Emancipation, see when the fire rains. Ooh, everybody's here. This is the gem of the year. Love
Style. Come on. Style.
Somebody once told him that he wouldn't take Prince through the ringer, let him go